In a world filled with shadows, where negative thoughts often take root, there lies a simple secret, one that can transform darkness into light. This is the story of how you, too, can catch the light and find peace within. In a bustling village nestled between the mountains and the river, there lived a young woman named Myra. She was known for her warmth and kindness, but recently, something had changed. Her heart felt heavy, her mind clouded with thoughts of doubt and fear. Every time she tried to focus on the good, negative thoughts crept in, as if the shadows in her mind were growing darker each day. One evening, Myra sat by the riverbank, watching the golden light of the setting sun. She sighed deeply, her thoughts spinning with anxiety. Why can't I shake these feelings? Why does everything seem so hopeless? She muttered to herself. As she sat lost in thought, an old man approached. He carried a net, worn and frayed, and walked with a slow but steady pace. Myra had seen him before. He was known as Janu, the village's most skillful catcher of light. Janu sat beside her, dipping his net into the river without a word. After a few moments of silence, he turned to her and said, "The mind is much like this river. It flows, carrying with it the pure light of the sun, but also the shadows of the trees and the dirt from the earth. If you focus too much on the dark water, you'll forget the light that dances on its surface." Myra looked at him, confused. "But how do I stop focusing on the dark? It's all I seem to see these days." Janu smiled gently. "Ah, child, you can't stop the river from carrying shadows. But you can catch the light. Watch." With a practiced hand, Janu dipped his net into the water again. This time, as he lifted it, the net sparkled, catching the glimmers of the setting sun. The golden light reflected off the droplets of water trapped in the threads, creating a beautiful shimmer. "You see," Janu continued, "the negative thoughts in your mind are like the shadows in the river. They flow naturally, and trying to stop them only makes them stronger. But if you learn to catch the light, the positive, the hopeful, the good, the shadows lose their power." Myra's eyes softened as she watched the light flicker in Janu's net. "But how do I catch the light in my mind?" she asked. Janu stood up and handed her the net. "It takes practice. First, when a negative thought enters your mind, acknowledge it. Don't fight it, but don't let it control you. Instead, remind yourself that it's just a passing shadow in the river of your thoughts. Then, look for the light. It can be anything, a moment of kindness, a memory of joy, or the simple beauty of a sunset." He paused and added, "The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Soon, you'll be able to catch the light even in the darkest moments." Myra nodded, gripping the net tightly. She stood by the river for a long time, watching the water flow and trying to follow Janu's advice. At first, it was hard. Her mind was filled with worries about the future and regrets about the past. But she remembered Janu's words, and instead of resisting the thoughts, she let them pass like shadows. Slowly, she began to notice the small things, the soft breeze on her face, the song of the birds, the warmth of the sun as it set. With each breath, she focused on these tiny moments of light, and little by little, the weight in her heart began to lift. Days turned into weeks, and Myra practiced her new skill diligently. Whenever she felt overwhelmed by negativity, she paused, took a deep breath, and searched for the light. Over time, she found that the shadows came less often, and even when they did, they no longer consumed her. One day, she returned to the riverbank, holding the old net Janu had given her. The sun was setting again, casting a beautiful golden glow across the water. Myra smiled as she dipped the net into the river, catching the light as it sparkled on the surface. She realized that just like the river, her mind was always flowing, but now she knew how to focus on the light, no matter how dark the shadows might seem. As she stood there, she whispered to herself, "I am the catcher of light." From that day forward, Myra became known in the village as someone who radiated warmth and hope. Whenever someone struggled with negative thoughts, she would share Janu's wisdom, teaching them how to let the shadows pass and catch the light. And in time, the village became a place where the light always seemed to shine just a little brighter. Remember, the shadows will always flow, but the light is yours to catch. With each breath, choose the light, and let positivity shine through your life. You are the catcher of your own light.